In this episode of Wolf Tracks, we get back into action at SK High. From performing in plays to playing video games. From being in drill meets to being in drill downs. And from repping your class in the halls of SK to repping every wolf in front of the whole community. We have all that and much more on Wolf Tracks.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm working on the first Wolf Tracks of the season.
What's Wolf Tracks?
Wolf Tracks is the school's feature show where we show what's happening in school and in the community. Here, let me show you. Let's take a look at the first story in the theater.
The production She Kills Monsters was this year's fall play, courtesy of the theater department. It's filled with 90s references, an exciting story, and some amazing fight scenes. First of all, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. Most of the show takes place in a D&D module. The cast fights many different types of D&D creatures and have a fun time doing it. It's also very accurate. Here's one of the lead on how they thought the play did with its D&D references.
Because I play D&D, and so a lot of the things early on, I saw them when I read the script, and I thought, that doesn't make sense with D&D. But then later on, it all comes together and gets resolved. And so it really feels like the people who wrote it knew what they were doing with the D&D parts.
On top of Dungeons and Dragons, the play is also filled with some fun action and drama. The story revolves around the main character dealing with the loss of her sister. It is a moving story and it gives the play a strong emotional center.
I really like the emotional scenes just because this is kind of a fast-paced fighting kind of show, and you get these little emotional scenes here and there, and they kind of let you in on the character's depth and their personality, and I really liked learning about all these different characters.
On a lighter note, it's also filled with some excellent comedy. In addition, you can't forget the 90s references. The entire play takes place in the 90s, and it becomes apparent as soon as you see the set. Here is Dylan with their take on the 90s setting of the play.
It's so on par and accurate. It's very cool. Like the flannels and all that. It's like, yes. Like the corduroys, like the vintage clothing. It's just so cool. It's perfect. And my computer is literally so cool. Like the stickers, it's so 90s. It's so great. I love it.
Overall, the fall play was filled with action, drama, D&D, and the 90s. It was an unforgettable experience, and I, for one, am looking forward to how they will follow up this excellent show.
Wow, that was amazing.
I know. I can't wait to see what the winter musical Mamma Mia has in store for us.
What are these for?
I have no idea.
It's me, Mario!
Speaking of Mario, we have a new esports club here at South. Let me show you.
There are over 2.5 billion people gaming around the world. One survey found that in America, roughly 227 million people play video games, with the numbers booming since the pandemic. Many people use gaming as an escape from reality, or as a source of endless entertainment. Stress and anxiety are unfortunately a common problem in our society. Many people are looking for ways to relax, one of which being gaming.
I find it very enjoying.
It helps take my mind off of other things, and it's very fun.
There's just a certain passion I get out of practicing, really getting good at competitive games specifically.
It takes my mind off of a lot of problems. If I'm stressing out, helps me de-stress and recuperate myself, and okay, now I feel great again.
I mostly just do it to occupy my free time because that's mostly the biggest interest that I have, just going to a different world and experiencing that.
But there's just something about just taking a break from everything, just kind of kicking back and doing my business,
The term gaming really defines the hundreds of thousands of different individually unique categories you can explore. Some people enjoy playing competitive first-person shooters, while others might prefer casual grinding-based games.
I usually play open world games and first-person shooters and stuff like that.
Mostly shooters and MMORPGs.
I mean, obviously I play Super Smash Bros. But I also enjoy playing Team Fortress 2, games that are mostly focused around competition. Games like Street Fighter,
I play some old SNES games, a few FPS games here and there, like Team Fortress 2. I also love playing Smash. Smash is very fun. That's mostly it. But if any of my friends ask me to play something, usually I'll give it a shot.
There have been concerns with gaming and its negative effects. Some people can form gaming addictions, which can lead to spine and wrist problems, as well as an overall decrease of productivity. Fortunately, with low self-control, many people can overcome the negatives and still be able to experience the positives that gaming provides. According to a study done by Mark Griffiths, a professor at Nottingham University, quote, "In my research, I have only come across a handful of people who I would genuinely call addicts. There was lots of evidence suggesting that gaming can have a very positive effect in people's lives."
Honestly, I don't think gaming really affects my health too much. I'm not like staying up too late to play video games, or I'm not waking up super early to play video games. I just, play them here and there throughout the day.
Sometimes you gotta like take breaks. It's important to drink a lot of water. I've seen that now I have to like take stretches, so it's fun, but sometimes you gotta like really step back and remember that your body has needs as well.
Beforehand, if I do a lot of walking during school, then that mostly takes care of my health, but otherwise during the gaming, that's not that bad, but still on the bad side.
In the end, gaming is just another way to sit back, relax, and have fun. With hundreds of different styles of games to choose from and a little self-control, all you have to do is grab a comfortable chair, grab your device, and start gaming.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that club. I want to compete and race people.
You know who else competes? NJROTC.
That's some tough competition.
Let's go check them out now.
You've probably driven by it and not even noticed. But this is the South Kitsap Armory, a building of storied history.
And right here is our very own drill deck.
And in this building houses one of the South's largest, most accomplished programs, the Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, or NJROTC.
Junior ROTC was established as an Army program back in 1919, and it was to teach civilian population about military life and just the basics of the military.
NJROTC it's a leadership program, and we train future leaders to be good citizens, not only in their own community, but in the greater world. And so that is our purpose and that's our goal.
But why do people participate in the program? Why do these cadets join ROTC?
I originally joined ROTC because I was moving to Washington and I wanted to be part of an ROTC unit. I chose this one because it had gotten a lot of distinguished units, and that was one really big thing I liked, and that's one thing I want to get this year.
Because I've heard a lot about it from other people in the school, as well as my parents and family who had done it in the past, and so I decided to give it a shot, and I'm really enjoying it.
Because my older brother did it, and he had a good time. He was on the armed drill team too, and I was like, I'm gonna be better than you, boy.
The program does a lot, not only for themselves, but for the community. We asked about what programs they have, as well as what they do for this community.
There are a total of 8 teams. We have an academic, unarmed, armed, color guard, orienteering, sailing, strength, and I lied, there are 7 teams. Marksmanship, we have 8 teams. So those 8 teams, we have to go out and compete in these things called drill meets.
No program is without their struggles, including ROTC.
Recruiting has been difficult, so trying to get cadets in our program. Currently we are a company, which means that we do not have enough cadets to call ourselves a battalion. It's been difficult to get up to the level that we were at. We were division champions in color guard. Our drill teams were recognized throughout our division, and so we're just rebuilding right now.
I would like to see the program here at South Kitsap grow. We've got almost 2,800 students in the school, and we have about 125 students in ROTC. That's less than 5%. So I would like to see more students in ROTC taking the opportunity to try it out.
At the end of the day, cadets are dedicated to their work, ensuring that they can hand off a better program than how they found it.
If it wasn't for NJROTC, I don't think I would be the person I am today.
ROTC helped me with being more confident and believing in myself.
And what I envision is for this battalion to be running and to be successful and to grow.
That looks like some serious skill.
I know, right? Good for them. Those drill downs seem tough.
Hey, I think the dance team competes in drill downs too.
I think you're right. Let's go see what they're up to now.
You've probably seen the dance team at home football games and basketball games, or maybe you've seen the dance team practicing out in the commons after school. But what is the dance team really about? What do they do? The South Kitsap dance team is made up of about 20 dancers ranging from 9th to 12th grade. They have 2 co-captains and 2 captains, and the coach Linnell Vandenboss. The SKDT performs hip-hop, dance, game day, and pom. Hip-hop is the style typically performed at football games. Dance is a contemporary lyrical-based style, and pom is an energy-filled style that uses pom-poms and lots of technique. These styles are performed at games, but also at competitions. The team travels all across Washington throughout the year to compete, eventually making it to the National Dance Team Championship in Orlando, Florida. The team is known for their hard work and positive environment for students.
I love the dance team because it's something that I've been doing while growing up, and it's just like a second family here.
They focus on growth as dancers and areas that translate into their education and real-world skills. Another noteworthy thing about the dance team is the strong friendships that are formed.
And I love them so much, and they are so nice and so welcoming. And I found with her like a third family, and I love you guys.
If you are interested in supporting this team, follow them at Instagram at SK Wolfpack Dance Team and consider watching them perform. Want to join the team? Keep an eye out for tryouts for the 2022 to 2023 team, which will take place in the late spring.
Wow, that's so impressive. How do they do that?
Yeah, let's just stick to hosting. Plus, sewing and textiles is waiting for us.
Down there?
Sure is.
There are many FCCLA classes at South Kitsap High School for students to choose from. These classes help to prepare students for the real world. Today we're going to be first looking at the sewing class at South Kitsap, better known as Textiles and Apparel.
My name's Miss Blankenship. I am one of our textiles teachers here at South Kitsap High School. In our textiles class, we learn how to sew by hand and using the sewing machines. So right now our students are working on ironing their fabric to prepare it for cutting it accurately. They learn how to measure and cut their fabric out, and then they'll go to the sewing machine and use it to create a project. A lot of our students are working on pillowcases right now. We'll also make tote bags. When we sew by hand, we make monster dolls. And our students can also get an art credit if that's something they're interested in, because we also teach the elements and principles of design.
In the sewing room, students learn how to do many different types of sewing projects. However, it takes many small skills to complete a single project.
Textiles because we do a lot of really fun projects, and I get to do it with all my friends. And I've learned a bunch of skills that I didn't think I would need, but I find them very useful, and it's very fun to learn. Here in textiles, we first need to know how to thread the needle to a sewing machine. To know how to thread a bobbin, it's pretty simple. What you do is you place a spool of thread on the thread holder pins, and you place the bobbin on the bobbin holder. Then you grab a line of thread and you pull it towards the left of your machine. And you're going to wrap it around this little pole that holds your thread. And you're going to wrap the excess around your bobbin. Make sure your machine is on first. And then when you're ready, press down on the pedal of the machine to let the thread spin around the bobbin. To help thread the needle a little bit, place your finger behind the eye of the needle so you can see it better. And then when you're able, pull the thread through it and pull it straight towards you.
If you would like to learn how to sew, use a sewing machine, or stitch, consider taking the textiles class. Over the course of the semester, they make pillowcases, monster dolls, and bags. You'll learn how to sew by hand and also with a machine. Stop by the textiles room for more information today.
That's not so scary.
No, that seems really fun. And you get to take the lead on your own project.
You know, another club at South that takes the lead is our ASB.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go there now.
We've probably all heard of ASB, but what does it mean? Who is in it and why is it there? ASB is all of us, but ASB officers are voted in. Either at the beginning or end of a school year, ASB officers are elected by you, the students, to be student council members. Every officer voted into the council has been selected by you to represent your class.
ASB is kind of the general term that we use, but we're actually split up into a lot of different sections. So we have class officers as well as ASB officers.
So we have ASB president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, senators, and you're allotted 1 per 100 in your class.
All the members of the student council meet in overall meetings bi-monthly and meet on their own to discuss smaller scale projects based on their own schedules. Bi-monthly meetings are called executive meetings, and smaller meetings within subgroups are called class meetings. But why do they meet?
Every week, senior class meets. We meet with just the 10 officers that we have. We'll talk about specifically planning things like prom, Mr. SK, senior nights, things that are just specific to senior class. Assemblies or other events planned for all students at SK, that's executive ASB. And then on bi-weekly Wednesday meetings, we'll meet with every single class officer, so juniors, sophomores, as well as the overarching ASB. And then we'll all come together to communicate with each other about what we're doing for the school as individuals, and then what we can do for the school as a whole.
What does each officer even do?
So for the president, they mostly just oversee the meeting. There's like the misconception that they do everything, but their portion is just, I guess, delegate tasks to each officer. The vice president, their job is to fill in the role of the president whenever he or she is not there.
Secretary, super valuable. They're all super valuable, but secretary saves me a lot. They take notes throughout the meeting, so they take attendance, and they make sure that we know when we're adjourned and when we're not, and they make sure that they track the minutes for the meeting.
And then the treasurer is to oversee the funds.
They're responsible for the finances of the group. They'll make sure that they're getting the accountant's report from Mrs. Robinson, and they're signing the proper documents, so we're all in order. Senators, their job is to represent the student body, provide a different perspective. So while we're discussing events and things that we can do for senior class, each senator provides a unique perspective from senior class that we would not otherwise have.
There are various branches of student government here at South. They are structured to best serve and represent the student body at SK.
I definitely recommend that you run for a class office or ASB office at your time at SK. It's my favorite part. It's been so much fun because you get to be an active participant in what we're planning and what we're doing for students at SK.
Want to pitch an idea to your representative officers? Know your class senators and send the idea their way. This way, they can hear your needs as a class and get the motion passed in ASB. Have a fundraiser or club idea? Pitch it to the Executive Council and present it to the council members at a bi-monthly meeting to get approval for your idea. So, who has a say in school culture at South? You do. Your high school experience is yours for the making, and yours for the taking. There are so many ways to participate and influence what South has to offer.
Wow, that's so inspiring to see our peers helping around the school so much.
Yeah, but it doesn't just stop there. We have 2 of our own wolves on the school board.
Really? We should check it out.
Yeah, let's take a look.
The school board.
Welcome to the March 31st, 2021 school board meeting.
One of the most influential places that many of us don't think about. That is until this year, as schools across the country push to return to schools. Much of the attention was focused on school boards. Meet Jessie LaCrosse Lamberg, a familiar face and active participant in school board meetings. Back in the fall, she gave a presentation to the school board regarding this deficit and what she saw as a solution. We spoke to her about the presentation to the school board and the new representative role.
I mean, I am a little biased, but I do think that the student representative policy is vital to a healthy and functioning district, just because so many decisions are being made by the school board for students with no input.
With this, she partnered with Director Berg, who saw the many positives that a student voice can bring to the school board.
There's a group called the Washington School Directors Association. There's almost 1,500 school directors in the state of Washington.
And they have an association where they meet together and compare notes and they provide training and whatever. And so I learned that other school boards throughout the state had student representatives, and they advised or they recommended the practice.
We also spoke to Director Sebrin about this position.
I don't think most students know what the role of the school board is. And I think it'd be a good educational time for the students to realize that part of our government that affects a lot of your lives every day when you're there at the high school. I also think that it would be a good way of communicating without having it filtered through teachers and through administration, because sometimes they give us their take on things without actually speaking with the students. And it would help us to communicate directly with the students too, so they can know our feelings.
This plan seemed fair. A representative on the school board who advised the board on the student body condition. However, there was one perceived catch. This position is not elected. We asked Director John Berg about the rationale behind the lack of an election.
Is because the student representative serves as an advisor to the board. The board wants input from a student perspective. And so the student representative needs to be someone that the board wants to listen to.
Jess Yauver disagrees.
I believe that no representative is truly a representative if it's chosen by someone else. I think that the election process would make sure that the student representative is actually representing the voices and votes of the student body. So that is something I definitely hope to pursue within the upcoming years.
Now, in order to get a student perspective, we asked some people around the school if they thought the school board representative role should be elected.
I don't know that I see a problem. I like that they have a student on the board now. I do think it would kind of make sense if we got to vote on the student elected.
I don't think that would make any difference, but I think with an election, I think that gets rid of any bias.
They should be elected as well. They should go through the same process because they're on the same board. They might not be able to vote, but they still should be they should still be put through that process, I think.
There were also concerns that a student body representative would not be enough to represent the school board. We asked Director Sebrin about this and what she saw as a path forward for more representation.
Would be, you have a student council. Well, to have a student advisory board to the superintendent, and this I'd love to see it as a representatives from all grade levels and probably from each different group.
As a final question, we asked Director Berg and Sebrin what they were looking for in a student body position.
And I'd like them to have street cred. Come and say, I've done this during my high school time and I've reached out to this and just for activities and things that a student has done that tells me they're going to be qualified.
What I'm going to ask myself, is this a person that the board will want to listen to in order to get a student's perspective?
And one final update on the student representative position. On May 19th, student representative hopefuls gave presentations to the school boards, and two representatives, Jesse LaCrosse Lamberg from South Kitsap High School and Kyle Wilson from South Kitsap High School, were both selected to help represent the students. Their term will begin this summer as they begin planning for the 2021 to 2022 school year. The school board directors we interviewed would also like the viewers at home to know that the opinions that they stated in their interviews today are not reflective of the school board opinion, but of their own personal views.
Well, that's all of our stories for Wolf Tracks.
Really? That seems pretty easy.
Yeah, but class is almost over.
We've got a couple more minutes, right?
Now that you're done with your dinner, sitting back in your favorite reclining chair, time for the greatest show on earth. It's Wolf Tracks. 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 It's Wolf Tracks.